Well, good morning, everyone. It's a Monday morning on March the 24th. Can you believe it's already March here in end of March? Welcome to Mentor Monday, and I see a lot of familiar faces in here, but I also see some new faces in here. So if this is your first time joining us on Mentor Monday, let us know where you're joining us from on our beautiful planet. Gosh, I see people here from all over the globe, and just put in the chat um, who invited you if you're a first timer. But let us know where you're coming from today. It's going to be a great Mentor Monday. We've got one more Monday left in March, next Monday. We got a special event next Monday. But let's get started today. Just a couple quick announcements before we do. I want to, as I have been doing every single Monday, really encouraging you to decide and make and register for our National Leadership Conference in Las Vegas on May 9th. I'm so excited. Claudia and I are already chatting about things we're going to do. Go in a few days early and see some sites and go visit, and just be great to fellowship with all of us that don't get to see each other in person, but maybe once or twice a year. So that's May 9th. Go to the end of your app. You can register for it, and it's going to be a great event. It's the number one live corporate event for this year. So next year, 2026, we'll have our international convention, but this is our main meeting this year. The other thing I'd like to mention, I noticed in Europe and in Southeast Asia and in the United States this week, we're having an end of the month BOGO sale. So you'll see all that. If you haven't received an email from corporate, go check it. Go check the app. Here in the United States, our BOGO sale starts tomorrow, Tuesday, and actually is running 3 days this month, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, with a new item every single day. You can buy one, get one free. One of them I know is the cardio product, and that's one product I can testify that I've taken daily for 10 years. And I'm happy, and my cardiologist is happy. So that's one of the products I know is going to be on the BOGO this week. Well, if you've been watching and joining us every single Monday since the start of this year back in January, we had a great meeting the first 2 weeks in January. Dave talking about goals, setting your goals for the year, for the quarter, for the month. And we challenged many of you and ourselves to set a goal for the first quarter of the month, January, February, March, to set a goal, whatever that is, to increase your volume, to rank up. If you're a builder, become a builder elite. If you're a builder elite, to make it to diamond this first quarter. And many of you accepted that challenge. And here we are in the last week of the first quarter. And so how's everybody doing on this first 90-day challenge goal setting in 2025? Today, we're going to talk about goals a little bit more. Dave's got a great, I know, has a great, his mentoring is always excellent. Dave is, I've known since 2015 when I got on a call and we chatted for about 30 minutes and just connected, and he invited me to join his organization, his team. And I said, and I made the choice right then to do that. So Dave, he and his wife, Gabby, are great friends of Judy and I now. Dave, always great to see you on Mentor Monday. I'm going to turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, J. Michael. It's always a pleasure to be here on Monday. You know, it's a great way to start off the week. We come together, we're a community, we're a family, we're a team. And I think every one of us, including myself, I need you, just as much as we all need the team. I need to feel your energy. And that's one of the reasons I love live meetings, by the way. You can feel the energy in the room. But, the community needs you. You need the community. This is all about getting connected, staying connected. What I want to do is I want to do a bit of storytelling today because, when I joined For Life, I had a big goal. And I don't think I've shared this goal with many of you. Some I have. But my goal when I joined For Life, and this is going to sound a bit outrageous, but I had already been in this business, this industry for years before For Life. So I knew the potential. I knew the possibilities. all the benefits of networking, all the things that we hear about duplication, exponential growth, unlimited income, which is all true. There's no limit to how big you can build your organization. And so I had already had some success in the industry before For Life. But unfortunately, well, I should say fortunately, because here I am now with all of you and with For Life, and I love For Life. I love my company, I love my products, but more than anything, I love my people. I love the people of For Life. And where I had been before For Life, the companies just didn't last. And now I look back at it and I can see why. It's all about vision and principles and values and goals. And case in point, when I say that, many of you might have already received this, but David Lisenby, he sends this out to us, and these come in like your boxes when you get your products and things like that. But the vision David Lisenby shares with us of having by 2030 3 million new homes using our products by 2030. That's 29,000 new homes a month, 350,000 a year puts us over a billion, all right? 1 billion, in business. Well, I see a lot of people today because there's a lot of noise out there between, with all the social media and internet. Network marketing companies are a dime a dozen. There seems to be a new one starting up every day. And it's kind of interesting because I meet people all the time that say, yeah, I was in such and such company, and they have a bad taste in their mouth a little bit about network marketing or multi-level marketing. And I tell them this, I said, well, if it was such a bad thing, why is there a new one every day? Apparently it's working for someone. So sometimes you have to step back and say, okay, why is it working for that person, but it's not working for me? You see? So you have to step back and do a little bit of analysis on yourself and say, okay, if this person is doing that and they're successful, and that person is doing that and they're successful, well, common logic tells me maybe I should try doing what they're doing. Now, I'll say this business is very simple. It really is a simple business, but it's not easy. There's a difference between simple and easy. Simple is having a plan, setting your goal, and then doing the same thing. The beauty of this business, you don't have to do it all. In other words, you don't have to try to run a regular business when you're dealing with operating expenses and employees and all the taxes you got to pay and the licensing and in the inventory management and all that. You don't have to do that. You just share with people, and people are everywhere. And we'll get into a little bit in just a minute here of the disciplines, okay? But it is simple. You just have to basically have a plan of action and repeat it over and over and over and over. And that's pretty much what I do. I still do the same thing today that I did when I began For Life, which is presenting the plan, sharing with people, asking questions. Do you know anybody? And trying to trigger people's, not necessarily their memory, but just their thought process of, hey, if you need to make some extra money, or you are very interested in health, wellness, and learning about something that is new on the market, let me share this with you. Or if you know somebody, let me share it with them. I was always asking, do you know anybody? Do you know anybody? Do you know anybody? And so I want to share with you when I first began For Life, I had my goal. My first goal, I had a long-term goal, and I'll share it with you. My long-term goal was to make $100,000 a month. All right. And that's over $1 million a year, 1.2 million a year. And it sounds like a lot, and it is, but I knew it was possible because I've seen it. I've seen it multiple times. I've had people that are friends of mine that have made that kind of money. And so, but I also knew to make $100,000, I have to make $100 first. And I would call them onion checks. Back then, there were paper checks. In 1998, when I joined For Life, we would get checks in the mail, and it was once a month, got paid once a month. And I would call them the onion check. You peel it open and you cry. because they were so low. But that's how it was. But I also knew that if you take a penny and you double it, you have two pennies. If you double it again, you have four. By the end of a week, you don't even have a dollar. Take your calculator and try it. Just go 1 times 2 and keep on hitting the equal sign. Well, if you go for a month, you're a millionaire. And that's kind of how this business works. So you have to have that long-term vision. All right. You have to think ahead. Where do you want to be down the road at some point? But how are you going to get there? And that's where the short-term goals come in. So when I first began For Life, that short-term goal of mine really was to first be able to, it was all about money. I'll be honest. It was about money. My purpose today is very different. But back then it was about how am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to be able to make sure that I've got food, all those things that I needed, because I started full time when I joined For Life. It was full time. But I knew I had to break it down daily. I had to have a goal of every day, how many people from my mouth are going to hear about For Life? How many people can I present the plan to? And so I began practicing. The first week of my business was really a week of practice. I didn't have any audio tapes. There was no videos. Today, you've got so many tools. And I knew that I was going to be the best tool to get started, which would mean I understand that when I present to someone, it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. So I just wrote down simple bullets about my company. I wrote down, that my company was a startup, 1998, just getting started. So it was all about David Lisenby, his experience in the industry. Now, those of you that don't know David Lisenby, he worked with Nature's Sunshine products. You may know Nature's Sunshine, they're a herb company. He helped them with the business plan and a lot of the marketing with the books and everything that they had. So he had been around this business of health and wellness and networking for quite a long time before he even founded For Life. But it was really about selling the vision. Nobody was making much money. I mean, there might have been a check for a few $1,000s. That's about it. But most of us received the onion checks when we got started. So it was all about selling the vision. It was about telling people about transfer factor, this brand new miracle molecule, and it's still brand new. I mean, you go out there and talk to people, and you're lucky to find one or two out of 10, they've even heard of it. So we just shared with people, but I would always ask this question. This was my goal. 10 people a day. I wanted to hear the plan from my mouth, 10 a day. How did I get to that 10 a day? I did it by asking the questions. Do you know anybody? Can you just present me to one or two people that you know? I will present for you. Your people, my presentation. And I knew, I was acutely aware that when somebody brought someone to the table, you share the love. You share, it's all about them seeing the benefit, what their needs are. Maybe it's health and wellness. Maybe it's financial, freedom. Maybe they're trying to make some extra money. And it's not always about $100,000 a month. They might just be wanting to make $500 a month, and that changes their life. But whatever it is, it was my responsibility, and it still is today, as I talk to people about what their needs are. So when I first started, like I said, my first week was practice. I talked to my grandma. She was actually the first call I made. I called her before I even called my dad because I knew my dad was going to be real critical of me. He knew I was broke. And in fact, I had a joke. I'd say, I'm so broke, I can't pay attention. It was that bad. But I also understand that when people are desperate, that's when they take action. People join this business generally out of inspiration or desperation. It's usually desperation that drives someone to take action. And I took action. So I'm calling grandma, presented to her, told her about this new product, transfer factor. And I'll always remember, she passed away. She was 96 years old when I called her, and that was 1998. But she said, "Are you sure you want to do that, my son?" And I said, "I am, Grandma. I'm going to do this." And she was actually my first customer. She bought a bottle of transfer factor from me. Then I called my dad. I knew he was going to be critical. But I also told my dad something. I said, Dad, remember back when I was 18 years old, when I was selling Cutco cutlery, those knives? And he said, Oh, yeah, I still got that demo set. I said, You supported me then. All right. I need you to support me now. All right. Because his first comment to me was, Why don't you get a real job? I was even before I started presenting him the plan. Well, today my dad's a bronze in for life. He's 90 years old, and he's still alive and kicking, doing good. But he's a bronze, and he's got a residual income every month, and that makes me very proud that I was able to include my father in this journey. So those are the first people I called. So if you're just beginning your business, practice. Spend the first few days presenting. All right. And we've got the presentations, you can go on the Upline Pro website. If you're not a member, I encourage you to become a member on uplinepro.com. You're going to see a lot of new tools being uploaded between now and the end of the month. This month of March is our month to start introducing some really new tools, napkin presentations, formal presentations, things like that. But when I presented, my way of doing it, really, I understand people buy me, they buy you first, how they feel about you. So if you take the time to learn about your company a little bit, which you can watch the videos today, you can learn all about that, learn about your product a little bit. You can read about it. You got the video again, transfer factor, messenger molecule, helps the immune system to recognize threats, remember threats, respond to those threats. All this stuff's available. I don't need to educate everybody on the miracle molecule. And gold factor, nano elements that actually, tremendous help for memory. If memory is something important to you, I would encourage you, gold factor. Trillions of nanoparticles of gold that are in an ionized, ultra purified liquid that actually activate neurons in the brain and activate telomerase, which protects your telomeres, protect the telomeres of your chromosomes. They're healthier, longer, so they're not dying off as fast, which means the aging process slows down. I'm going to be 65 years old. I don't think I look 65 years old. So here I am presenting to you. See, that's what I would do. I would tell people the benefits of my product, what it is, the miracle molecule or nano elements today, or Age Pro, NMN, nicotinamide mononucleotide. Sounds like a mouthful, but you know what? I didn't even know what that meant not that long ago. Took the time to learn about NMN and what it does for the body, and we've got it in our Age Pro. It's fantastic. So all of this stuff, what does it do? Let me tell you something. There is no greater education than experience. Experience is the best way you're going to develop, learn, grow, build, and start reaping the rewards of success, which obviously reflects in your paycheck, in your income. So practice on your dog or your cat or your bird if you got one. Just present in your head. If you're driving down the road and you're listening to music on the radio, turn it off. Just go through a presentation in your head. Start, who's for life? What are we about? 3 or 4 bullets about for life, all right? Then you share a bit about the benefits of our products. Then you tell people you can make money here. And there's 8 ways to make money in for life. How many of you know the 8 ways to make money? If you don't, watch the video. It's right in the app. You've got the video in your app. Cell phone, here it is. Right in the app, you got the video. So after my first week of practicing, what I started asking people, I said, do you know anybody that's been around networking or direct sales? And I had somebody give me a name. And the name was Jeff Altgilbers. And I called him cold. And he was cold, by the way. He was not friendly with me in the first calls. He was angry, upset. He'd been in network marketing before and the company crashed and it failed him. And he felt like all the previous years of what he had done failed him. And I told him, I said, I learned something from Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn one time, and I knew Jim because I was living in Los Angeles. And he would say, never base tomorrow's successes on yesterday's failures. And understand that the business model of network marketing doesn't fail you. people do. It's not the business model's fault. It's a great business model for someone who wants to compress a lifetime of work and focus on one thing and build a big business and have residual income and all the benefits. So I was basically focusing on that with Jeff. It took 4 phone calls. And here's what's interesting, you guys. Those 4 phone calls happened between Christmas and New Year's at a time when everybody said that nobody cares. Nobody's thinking about business. Nobody's thinking about network marketing. They didn't care about it. And so I had to work. I had to work. Excuse me, dog, I apologize. I had to work and I had to make some money and I was very focused. So I apologize. So I was making my phone calls and 4 phone calls with Jeff. By the time I got to the last one, I said, Jeff, you know, I'm a baseball player and 3 strikes. After the 3rd phone call, I'll make that last one, and that's pretty much it. So I don't want to bother you. If you're interested, I want to work with you. And I'll never forget his words. Kind of a southern drawl because he's from South Carolina. I said, keep your pants on now. He says, I'm interested. And I said to him, I said, Jeff, how about this? New Year's is in a couple of days. Sign up now and we'll get started at the first of the year. And he did. He signed up and we got started. Now, here's what happened. As I said earlier, my goal was 10 a day. That was my personal goal. I don't know what your goals are. If it's 1 a week, you know, it can't be 1 a month because you can't hold that thought process for a month. You know, you need to do something each day. And we'll get into this in just a minute. When I said earlier, a few simple disciplines. All right. So for me, it was 10 a day. How do I get to 10 a day? OPP. OPP. What's OPP mean? Other people's people. You use other people's people. Get into their network. Now, I have somebody who I'm beginning to work with right now. I believe he's on the call with us right now. He is. Dr. Well is his name. In fact, let me just share. Hey, brother Om, how are you? Om is in India. He's in Delhi right now. And he is just met this evening. I say this evening because it's nighttime over there, with the general manager, Shishir. Met with him at a hotel in Delhi. Shishir is going to a direct selling meeting. And I reached out to him and he said that he would love to meet with Om. And he did today. So I just want to share. I asked him to take a picture for me, which they did. And so I'm going to just share this with you all real quick here. I want to introduce you to somebody who I'm beginning to work with now and looking forward to getting into talking to 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 people with Om. So let me share this. Can you all see that?
Yes.
So there's Om in the middle with Raj over here and with Shishir. And so they met at the hotel and Om came in with a fast start. He just started, he's just beginning, literally just the other day, just signed up, okay? And he's got a tremendous background of networking. And so I'm very excited to have the opportunity and be blessed to now have someone who is another, I'll say conduit, if you will, into a whole market of people. And it's in India. Now, here's what's interesting. How did I find Om? I didn't find Om. I found Om because somebody reached out to me who had been talking to Om, and that person's in Ecuador. And he doesn't even speak English. Now, I'll have to get into that story, you know, some other time, because how does somebody who doesn't speak English? It's called translation apps. Today, you can talk to Grok if you want, you know, talk to AI. You know, you can get translation easily. So he's out scouring around, finding people using translation apps. Here's my point. There's always a way. Sometimes you have to be a little creative. So maybe you don't speak Spanish. Somebody does. I guarantee on this phone, I mean, on this Zoom here, there's plenty of people that speak Spanish. There's Spanish meetings every day that we have. You can invite people to. A lot of Latins in the United States you can invite to come and hear about this. All right. But there's always a way, but sometimes you have to think out of the box a little bit. All right. So let's talk about the few simple disciplines that equal multiple great rewards. Okay. So what I have going on right now, before I get into the disciplines, I always have projects. Always. Right now, it's Om. I look at Om, that's going to be in 4 or 5 years of work with Om to get him to platinum. All right. Now, maybe he does it sooner. Great. But the point is, I'm ready to run with him. Okay. I've got another project this one stems from Latin America, actually from Peru, and working with them. And then I've got another one I look, and I say projects because I look at them again. These are 3 to 5 years of hard work together. Dr. Bonnet, who's on this call right now, he just got started a few months ago. He's got a great team developing out of Colombia, and I'll be in Colombia in July. I'll be going to Colombia doing the diamond retreat, training to help people go from diamond to presidential. So I always have these projects going on. So what I would encourage you to do when you sponsor that first person, if it's their goal, now if they've joined you for the benefits of products, you might have to go through the process of them experiencing the products, falling in love with the products, and then they may look at the business. So obviously that person, you might be able to get a referral or two from them, where they're like, yeah, I know somebody that has XYZ problem, and you can reach out and say, hey, I can help. Let me share this product with them. All right. I'm talking about when you find someone that raises their hand and says, yes, I want to do this business. I want to build. I want to change my financial future. I'm willing to get on the Mentor Monday Zoom calls. I'm willing to, on a Saturday morning, if there's a training, I'll listen in, even if I'm driving somewhere. That's the person that you're looking for, right? That's where these few simple disciplines equal multiple great rewards. What I mean by that, I'm a networker. So when it comes to goal setting, I'm always doing it. I've got my goals. I got my short-term goals, my long-term goals. All right. I even got some midterm goals, things I want to accomplish over the next 90 days. Ohm has a goal. He wants to get to bronze within 90 days. So my job is to support him and help him get to bronze in 90 days. All right. I consider that a bit of a midterm goal, but you got to break it down. To get to bronze, what are we going to do each month, each week, each day? You can't let 2 months go by and not be engaged doing something, have that short-term goal, and expect to be a bronze in 90 days. So you have to break it down and have your daily goals. That's where the discipline comes in, you guys. So every day when I wake up in the morning, and I still do this because it's a habit, okay? Habits are something that you form, you develop, all right? It's funny, some of these habits that we all have habits, they're natural. Are you right-handed or are you left-handed? It began when you were a baby. You took one hand and started using it more than the other, and that became your habit. You see, so some are natural, but then some we have to develop ourselves. So my habit in the morning, I wake up, and one of the first things that pops into my head are things that I need to do today for my people. My for-life family, my for-life community, Upline Pro, Embajadores en Acción. Now I try not to go straight to my cell phone, and that's a hard thing for me because I always want to look and see who's messaged me, and there's just tons of WhatsApp messages and text messages and emails. And I try to use some time in the morning to kind of get my brain going, take Odin out for a walk, at the ball field, do that type of thing and get ready for my day. But I always do a self-analysis. What's the day going to be like? I envision the day, who I'm going to be talking to. Now, this morning was a bit different because I knew that Shashir was going to be meeting with Om. And I wanted to make sure that that was happening. So I did look at my phone. All right. But every day I have the habit now as a networker, it's in my blood. It's not just what I do, it's who I am. All right. Of thinking of my people. Who do I need to call? Going and looking at my notes. And by the way, I'm an old school person. All right. I still use this, if I go back and, look at, I do a lot of doodling too, but, that's just me. Whatever system you have to follow up, and that's one of the few simple disciplines, by the way. So now you're talking to some people, you're keeping some notes, whether it's on a computer, on a phone, or whatever. Why do you do that? Because the chances of you sponsoring someone on the first phone call, it can happen, but it's more likely to happen on the second, third, or fourth. I had to go to Jeff 4 times. What if I'd stopped at the second call or the first one? I thought he's not interested and move on. No, I follow up. Follow up is critical, even with Om in India. A lot of follow up. We went back and forth and back and forth and talked and talked and talked. And it took a while. It took probably three plus weeks before he made the decision to join For Life. And then to travel, he was traveling all day long in India to get up to Delhi to go meet with Shishir. So that shows commitment, you see. So again, the discipline, daily analysis. What are you going to do this week? And how are you going to get there beginning today? It's Mentor Monday. Here we have Monday. You got all week long. What are we going to do today and tomorrow? Set your goal. If it's a post on social media, and that's a whole nother training, by the way, but whether you're doing posts telling people about this wonderful miracle molecule that you've discovered, I would not put up there, I wouldn't do this, all right? Because right away, obviously, people are going to go Google everything and try to do you want to talk to them. You understand, they buy you, all right? You want to bring them to you. And the way you're going to do that is through curiosity. That's a whole other training. But whether it's 1 post a day, 5 posts, whatever it is, and I know we have Daughtrey from Canada with us. She's the queen of posts, social media expert. But whatever your goal is, make some noise. The company even says that to us. Get out there, post. Now, with me, one of the disciplines that I've developed, the habits I've developed, is I cannot engage in a conversation with somebody, unless I'm like at the grocery store and I'm, hey, can you tell me, what kind of cut is this meat? Then obviously that's what the conversation is. But if I'm somewhere and I've got some casual time available, it could be at the park with Odin, it could be at the beach, wherever it is, I'm talking to someone, I always, at some point, mention For Life and transfer factor, because I ask people what they do, and they generally ask me what I do, and that opens the door and I can share with them. So that is one of my disciplines. I started that so long ago that I'm almost uncomfortable if I'm sitting with someone or talking to someone and it's a lengthy conversation about it, like on an airplane. If you're next to me on an airplane, you're going to get a presentation. There's just the only way you wouldn't is if you basically just, put a wall up, and that's happened before to me. I realize like that person doesn't want to talk to me at all and I leave them alone. Respect. But generally in conversation, they're going to hear about what I do, hear about For Life, hear about transfer factor. And I've met some pretty interesting people, in my journey. So you got your daily goal, your self-analysis each day. I would always ask, what did I do yesterday? What am I going to do today? Where am I going this week? At the end of the month, you need to reflect. I would look in the mirror, honestly. I'd look in the mirror and I'd say, okay, Dave, the month's over. What happened? Where did you go? The daily, by the way, that's accountability. Okay. When you do the daily analysis, you're holding yourself accountable for what you're going to do that day. The monthly, when you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're saying, okay, that's more about what tweaks do you have to do? What can you get better at? All right. Where do you need to make your improvements? Things like that. All right. So I would look at myself and say, what do I really need to focus on in order to keep moving the direction that I need to go? And that's what I would do. And so by doing that on a regular basis, those onion checks, months went by, check went from, $100, $400, got up to $800, $1,000. Then after about a year or so, it hit a couple $1,000s. I was still broke, by the way, to be honest with you. I was taking all of my money and putting it into things that would help me with my business. Getting a new headset because I was talking so much, I broke the one I had, or maybe installing a new telephone line in my place because it was a better deal with the phone company, but I had to put some money up to have the guy come out and install it. There's always something I was doing, putting back into my business. The next thing you know, I got to Presidential Diamond and I got to International Diamond, which today we call bronze, right? And there was no such thing as gold or platinum. There was a silver back then. And I remember when somebody made silver in For Life, I wasn't me, I was like, wow, that person's a silver. And I just kept going and going. Well, long story short, I joined in 1998 by applying myself, the simple disciplines, understanding experience is the best way to learn. And I'll get into another thing here in just a minute about emotions. By applying all that, in 2006, I was in Malaysia. I started traveling, by the way. That happened in about 2000. I got a phone call from someone in Orlando and says, "Hey, Dave, I understand you speak Spanish." I would say, "Yep, soy gringo que habla español." I'm the gringo that speaks Spanish. They put me on a phone call with someone in Puerto Rico, talk to him. Now, after a couple of years of presenting, I was pretty good at presenting that plan with the good energy, identifying the person I'm talking to, a little bit about them, what their needs are, focusing on their needs. Well, this person was about business. He's a veterinarian named Dr. Emilio Nevares. And that first phone call was quite funny because he was giving birth to a baby calf. The cow was having, he's a vet, a country vet. Cow was giving birth to a calf and having a problem. He had to put the phone down and help the calf get born. And he picked the phone back up to continue our conversation. I'll never forget that. And so in talking to him, he said he didn't have a lot of people, but he had some good people. And I said, great. I talked to five. I actually flew to Puerto Rico, did a meeting for 5 people. 5. Guess what? Today, of those 5, 3 are platinum and the other 2 are golds. So it's not always about quantity. Quality is important too. But I identified that with him. After 2 years of doing this, you get better and better and better. So you guys understand that by doing your daily and weekly and monthly and your goal setting, it's all about development. It's all about, even if it's baby steps of growth, that's what it's all about, you see? Well, now all of a sudden, I'm working the Latin market. What a blessing that's been in my life, the ability to speak Spanish, which I learned when I was 19 years old. So pretty much 100% of the entire Latin market's in my organization, everybody. And they're, by the way, they're all in Mexico right now at an event. The first event that I've not been at, I've got other stuff going on with projects, but I will be at the next one. I'll be in Utah or in Vegas, of course. So, but my point is this. Through the simple disciplines, through my daily analysis, weekly goals, daily analysis, weekly goals, and then every month looking at what I did, what can I do better, going through all of that month after month after month after month. It took 8 years and I got to platinum. I hit my goal. Back then was actually when I hit that goal. Now, I'm going to share this with you, but please understand, I'm not doing this to try to brag. It's just, to show you that when you have a goal, you can achieve it. As crazy as it sounds, you can do it as long as you apply those disciplines and stay focused. So in 2008, For Life was switching from the paper checks, the ones I used to call, these are not onion checks, but they were switching from paper checks to wire transfers, electronic. And they called me up and they said, "Dave, we sent some paper checks to you. Don't deposit them, please, because a wire was sent out that will show up in your bank tonight. So just, tear those checks up, throw them away. I didn't tear them up. I put them in a folder. And I recently was digging through some old stuff and I found these. And it just reminded me of my goal. So if you look at the date of this, and again, please, I'm sharing this with you just to show you that goals that you set can definitely be achieved. Look at the date. This was actually the platinum check. If you look at it, it will tell you, if you all can see that there, it says bonus generation. All right, look at the date, 2008, and that's $71,000. Okay. So then by being a platinum, you get this one, the platinum pool. Okay. Now it's much higher today. That was 32,000. Okay, same date. You add those up, that's over 100,000. So my point is this. That was my all-time goal for life. I mean, for my entire life, I dreamed of doing that. Well, guess what? When that happened, all of a sudden I thought to myself, what now? And I can completely understand how some people, mainly celebrity types, when you see these people that are, and even athletes, but mainly a lot of celebrities, they have this goal of becoming famous and rich and all that. And then when they get there, some of them commit suicide or they're unhappy. Why? In fact, I know one, but I'm very proud of what he's done. Brian Johnson. If any of you don't know Brian Johnson, you can just look him, Bryan. He's becoming quite famous. He's into health and wellness. He has, just food. He just does food. But the point is, he sold Venmo and Braintree for $800 million. $800 million. And said that was the unhappiest time in his life when he had all that money because he didn't have purpose. You have to have a purpose. So when all of a sudden I hit my goal of that kind of income, I thought, what's my purpose? What do I do now? And I honestly felt depressed, as crazy as it sounds. Why? New goals. God put us here on this planet for a reason, to develop and grow. Doesn't matter where you are. If you're down here, you're up here, wherever you are, there's always more development and growth to be done. Always. So I set some new goals. How many people can I help and serve so they can reach their goal? And now I can consider that when they hit their goal, I've hit a new goal too. So I get to have the privilege of traveling that journey with other people. Now, whether you are sponsored by me or you're in my organization, doesn't matter. I'm here to serve everybody. Doesn't matter where, what line you're in. I never even ask. It doesn't matter. I'm all about helping people achieve their goals. So that's my goal now, to help you achieve your goal. And I've got these projects. We've got Claudia with Gillian. That's another one here working the US market. I've got Peru going on and Colombia and India. There's always action every day. In fact, there's not enough hours in the day. So I find myself being happier when I'm busy and working with people. You see, the only way that's going to happen is if you begin with the baby steps. Begin with your daily analysis, your daily goal of whether it's a post you're putting out there or someone you're going to pick up the phone and call. Don't be afraid. If you need help, you have an upline, bring them to me, bring them to our call. All right. I'll help present the plan to them. But have your daily analysis and your daily goal, your weekly goal. What did you do that week? Did you hit your 5 people, 10 people, 1 person, whatever it is? But I'll say this, probably the discipline that's the most important. You have to be engaged in your for-life business every day. Every day. Now, I understand Sunday is a day of rest for most of us, but that doesn't mean that you can't think about Monday. All right? Just kind of think about, okay, what are you going to do next week? Monday is going to get started. And sometimes I'll use Sunday evening if I'm sitting down, with the family. I'll think about Mentor Monday and what we're going to talk about and just kind of review some things, maybe make a few notes and so forth. But the reason I say this, especially as you're getting started in your business, you want to make sure each day there's something that you're doing in your head in your business, because if you don't, guess what happens? Number one reason people do not succeed, I don't want to say fail, but one of the reasons they do not succeed in this business, they get disconnected. And if they've never built a community, a network, a business, a team before, what makes you think this is going to happen by themselves now? Chances are it's not. I'm not being negative, but it's just a fact. That's why they need to stay connected. We need to stay connected, all of us. So I tell people, get connected and stay connected. So of all the disciplines, that's the most important one. You've got to stay connected. You've got to be thinking about your business on a regular basis. And guess what will happen? You will become a networker. And to me, the definition of networking is really simple. A networker is somebody who develops the ability or the skill to talk to people you don't know through people you do know. That's really it. Hey, Joe, you have a guest? Wonderful. Talk to that guest. Pretty soon you become someone talking to all these people, but you didn't find them all. Your people contributed. And that leads me to Upline Pro, another goal of mine that happened recently, not too long ago, was I thought, how can I best support my people? I've got a lot of teams in my organization, from SEN to Winners Team, Team Diamond, International Mentors Team, a lot of teams. All right. I am not a communist. I don't tell people you have to do it my way. My way is the only way. Look, there's more than one way to get from San Diego to New York. All right, whether it's a motorcycle, bicycle, train, plane, walk, crawl, jog, there's all kinds of ways. Probably can't take a boat unless you go around the Panama Canal. But the point is this: there's a lot of ways to build your organization, your network, your business. Well, listen to me, listen to others, and pick what works for you. We're all different, we're all unique. All right. So if there's something that I share with you or you learn from me, wonderful. If you learn something from somebody else, with J. Michael or Claudia or Gillian or anybody that's here, wonderful. I'm still learning. I learned from you guys. Since Gillian started with us, my gosh, I never knew how to use Canva. I'm getting pretty good at Canva now. You're going to see some of these pretty cool presentations. I got to give Gillian all the credit though. All right. She's the one that actually put all that together. I'm just learning how to go in and edit and put notes and stuff and working together, but it's been a lot of fun. So Upline Pro, and this is where I'll finish today. I wanted to create a community. I don't call it a team because there's a lot of teams, but if I can contribute to your success, I will feel that I've accomplished a goal of mine. That goes back to my purpose, helping other people achieve their goals of success or whatever it may be, even if it's health and wellness, talking about NMN or gold factor or the miracle molecule. So how do I help people do that? Well, by providing some tools. 4Life does a great job with the app. The 4Life app is amazing. So get to know that app real well. We did some training this month on the app earlier in the month. We can do it again, no problem. But learn to use it. There's videos on it. All right. So Upline Pro, it's a community of contribution. And so what I'm asking for everybody that joins the community of Upline Pro, do it on the website, become a member. You can do it on Facebook. Now there's a Facebook private group. That's for people that are already engaged and wanting to build the business. Those are the ones that I'm going to be the closest to. That's the Upline Pro inner circle. Okay. So you have to talk to whoever invited you to join the inner circle. All right. Or you can just request to join Upline Pro inner circle. Then we've got good health. That's also private. That's the other pathway to success. There are some people that don't want to know anything about network marketing, but they're all about good health. Take them to Good Health on Facebook. That's private. You have to ask to join it because there's a lot of stuff in there that's just has to stay within that community. But it's a community of contribution where we serve each other. It's really where I would always say this. This has always been something from me since I began. Upline serves the downline. I serve you. As you build your team, your organization, you serve your people. They don't serve you. You serve them. If you duplicate that process, that attitude, that mindset of service, guess what's going to happen? You're going to build an incredible organization because that's the philosophy of success. A lot of people don't understand networking, but you serve your people, all right? But when we do it as a team, where the sum of the parts is greater than the whole, that's called synergy, all right? When that happens, it becomes magical. And that's how I see Upline Pro. So I want to thank you all. I hope you've got your goals set. We're coming up to the end of the month. J. Michael mentioned we've got the leadership event coming up here in Las Vegas. Of course, Gabby and I will be at that. And then we're hitting the road. I mean, we've got Europe coming up. I hope to be over with Ohm in June. Be over there with Ohm, working the India market, coming back and then off to Colombia, Brazil, and probably Peru. So a lot coming up, but we're here to work together, help you achieve your dreams and your goals. Love you guys. Thank you very much. So let me go ahead and pass it back to you, J. Michael.
Thank you, Dave. Great day. Always great to see you. And thanks everyone for joining us today. A couple last things to mention. Dave mentioned that website. Absolutely. I became a member of this new website that he's creating. It's absolutely fantastic. It's also where you find his calendar. And on his calendar, you've got the Portuguese meetings, the English meetings, the Spanish meetings, all through the week and month with the links. One thing to remember, all the times posted on Dave's calendar are Pacific time zone, USA, because Dave lives in San Diego. So just use your clock app to determine what time that is in Kenya or Colombia or wherever you are. The other one is YouTube channel. The Global Youth, all these Mentor Monday meetings are recorded. The Mentor Monday meetings are. Some of our others are not, they're private, but this one is. And it could be, this one will probably be uploaded later today or maybe by tomorrow evening. But you can go back and watch all of Dave's Mentor Mondays on his YouTube channel. And so I subscribe to that too. Click it, subscribe, and then you'll get a notification anytime the new new one's uploaded to that. I think that's all I have. Oh, next Monday. Next Monday, it's interesting, is March 31st. The last Monday of the month, the last Monday of the quarter. And as we talked about back in January, we're ending this first 90-day goals challenge that we did. So next Monday, Dave talked about some new presentations he and Gillian have been working on through Canva, through AI. And next Monday, Dave is going to share. He's been talking all day today, how he talked to 10 people a day and what he presented to. Well, next Monday, you're going to see how he presents.
We're going to unveil it.
We're going to unveil it next Monday, the 31st. So two things. You're going to see how Dave does it. So you're going to learn, well, I can do that. I can do that. But it's also a good opportunity. It's the last, you've been talking to people since January, February, March, every day, like Dave said. If you have somebody that's on that fence like Jeff Otgibbers was, invite them next Monday. Get them to next Monday's meeting as a guest. And you might, if you're a Diamond Elite and you're just 200 LP away or another person away from becoming Diamond in March, maybe next Monday you go over the fence. Monday you become a Diamond next Monday. So guys, I appreciate all of you. We love you. Have a great rest of your week and today or evening, mornings, wherever you are. Can't believe we got people from Kenya to India on here today, to Colombia. We're a global community of contribution. So welcome to our community. See you all next Monday. God bless you, everyone.
Let's open up the microphones here.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, share some love. All right, keep going, keep growing. All right, set those goals.
You.
Bye,
Join us
Rita.
tomorrow too.
Bye, Dodie. See you all.
Thank
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you
Bless
very
you.
much.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you. Thank you very
Peace.
much.
On the world.